So before I take the derivative of this function, I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this term right here, 2 over x. I'm going to rewrite it as 2 times x to the negative 1 power. So I'm just going to rewrite it so that it has a power, an exponent, instead of a fraction. So that way I can use the power rule instead of the quotient rule. Okay, let me just rewrite this then. H of x is equal to x minus 3 minus 2 times x to the negative 1 power to the second power. Okay, so here what we're going to do is we're going to take the derivative of each term with respect to x. I'm going to use the notation. I'm going to take the derivative with respect to x of x, and then I'm going to also take the derivative with respect to x of this entire quantity, 3 minus 2x to the negative 1 power raised to the second power. So notice that when you're ready to take the derivative, you can drop that notation d dx. So the derivative of x with respect to x is just 1. And then here, when I'm ready to take the derivative of this term, notice that you have an outside function. So you can think of this as like some f of x raised to the second power. And then I've got the inside function. So the inside function is the f of x. You can think of that as 3 minus 2x to the negative 1. So here, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to apply the chain rule. And so the chain rule says take the derivative of the outside function. So the outside function is going to require that we use the power rule as well. Okay, so let me use the notation here to remind us of what we're doing. So I'm going to go ahead and take the derivative of the outside function using that power rule. So that's going to be 2 times, so I'm bringing that power down, multiplying it by the front. So 2 times 3 minus 2x to the negative 1 power raised to the 2 minus 1. And then the chain rule says, and then after you do that, after you take the derivative of the outside function, we're going to multiply it by the derivative of the inside function. Okay, so I have to take the derivative of 3 and of negative 2x to the first power. Okay, all right, let's finish this. So 1 minus 2 times 3 minus 2x to the negative 1 power, then 2 minus 1 is just 1. Okay, and then now let's go ahead and take the derivative, right, of 3. So the derivative of 3 with respect to x is 0. And then the derivative of this guy, so let's take the derivative of 2x to the negative 1 power. So that's going to be, I've got that negative 2, and then I multiply it times that power of negative 1, times x to the negative 1, and then minus 1. Okay? All right, so that's 1 minus 2 times the quantity, 3 minus 2 times x to the negative 1 power, times, and then I've got this negative 2 and a negative 1, that's positive 2, times x to the negative second power. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rewrite my terms with the negative exponents. I'm going to rewrite them using positive exponents. So if we rewrite this, that gives us 1 minus 2. Actually, before I rewrite that, do you see here that I've got like this 2 here multiplied by this term here? So let's go ahead and multiply those terms together. So I've got 2 times 2x to the second power. That gives me 4 times x to the negative second power, excuse me, times 3 minus 2x to the negative 1 power. So we continue, right? Negative 4 times x to the negative 2 power is the same thing as 4 over x to the second power, okay? And then I've got 3 minus 2 times, so 2 times x to the negative 1 power is the same thing as 2 over x to the first power, okay? And then now I've got the derivative function. So let's go ahead and evaluate this for when x is negative 1. So I'm just going to plug in negative 1 anywhere I see x. And so I've got 3 minus 2 over negative 1. I'm running out of space here. So h prime of negative 1 is equal to 1 minus, and then I've got that 4 divided by the square root of negative 1, so that just gives me 4 times 3 minus, and then I've got that 2 over negative 1, so that minus becomes a positive sign. And then that gives me 1 minus 4 times 5, which is 1 minus 20. The answer is negative 19. Okay, h prime of negative 1 is equal to negative 19.